So, you know my name. Good. Because I know everything about you. Your darkest secret. Your ultimate weakness. I know you are Bruce Wayne.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to AusGamers. You're here with Stephen Farrelly. A couple of weeks back, we posted up an interview with the enigmatic Dax from Rocksteady Games. Today we've got Sefton Hill, who is the game director for Batman Arkham City. You all know that I'm absolutely fanatic about this game, but I'm going to put the fandom aside a little bit now and let's get into the nitty-gritty. Okay. This young lady was revealed today to us anyway, as being a playable character. Just throughout certain moments. How often will you be able to take on the role of Catwoman?
So with Catwoman, as you say, she's now fully playable in the game. Her story basically dovetails with Batman's story throughout the entire game, so it's a really nice way of seeing the story from two different sides. I would say, to give you an idea of playtime, to take down all the supervillains in the whole game will probably take about 25 plus hours. Well, definitely 25 plus hours, even for the best gamers. And for Catwoman, you're looking at about 10% of that will be Catwoman. So this is definitely Batman's game, and Catwoman is our special guest star, if you like.
So no other hidden surprises as playable characters? I mean, I know the PS3 had that sort of exclusive Joker content, which I'm quite sad because I'm an Xbox 360 man. I mean, I love my PS3, but Batman was just 360 for me all the way because I'm an achievement whore.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can guarantee there's going to be more surprises, and there's also going to be a lot of stuff that we don't reveal because we just want gamers to enjoy it when they get to play the story. You know, that's really important to us, that story is a really big part of what we do, and really important to Batman, I think, because Batman has these classic stories, and Batman to me is all about those interaction with those other key supervillains. So we're trying to tell people about the game without ruining the story and without giving any surprises away.
Now, one of the things in the game demo that we saw was, this sort of panning shot at the beginning of Arkham City, and you sort of, oh yeah, it looks pretty big, and then you point out that Batman is just this little speck, and once I got hands-on, it's just ridiculously big. When did you guys feel like you had to scale that back, and how big was it bigger before when you first started? How did the sort of technical process work for that?
I mean, we kind of looked at our overall goal was to create this district of Gotham City, but we also wanted to do it in a way that we didn't sacrifice any of the detail or care and attention that had in the first game. So I think that was the big technical challenge for us. So, we were never looking to make the biggest open world game ever, but we are looking to make the most detailed and the richest. And I think the team have done a phenomenal job in bringing that to life. I really do. Incredibly proud of the work that they've done. And I think, actually the size of the game world, to answer your question directly, the size of the game world is pretty much exactly what we started with. That was kind of where we set our vision, set our vision. And then we actually expanded, but very slightly, a couple of bits. But, that was what we wanted to create. This was the story that we wanted to tell.
Is there going to be any sort of differentiation with the game across any of the platforms? I sort of asked Dax, but we sort of glossed over it a little bit. And one of the examples I brought up was that the PC version obviously supported PhysX, which was great. Will we see any of that sort of stuff coming back?
I guess all I can say about that is that there are no announcements to make on that at the current time.
Okay. Now the side missions are a big factor here, and I counted 12 in the menu screen.
Oh, right, cheeky.
Yeah.
What you did there?
Well, no, Jamie was the one showing it to me. So
really?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's not my fault.
Okay.
So is that a final number? Or you're just not talking about that yet?
I mean, the side missions themselves are a massive thing for us, because if we were going to create this bigger play area, we didn't just want a big empty world. What's the point of doing that, So we wanted to use that space to tell a story, to have all these legendary landmarks, to have all these great things for Batman to do. So we still do have that kind of focused main path story, but we also have these side missions you can do, and you can choose when you want to do them. They're all based around key villains in the game, so Riddler's a great example of a side story. You have 400 Riddler trophies to collect, and Riddler's also taken hostage a number of people, and that's the way he's getting Batman to play his game. Riddler's already locked up, so would Batman be bothered about collecting Riddler trophies? Not really. But the thing is, Riddler's basically using as bait these people's life. So if Batman doesn't solve these puzzles, then Riddler's going to kill these people. So that's the way Riddler's getting Batman to play these games. And Riddler's created these really elaborate death traps, basically, for Batman to take on when he collects enough trophies. I think the other great thing about the trophies as well is they're not just stuck on top of buildings and down back alleyways. Every single trophy has a puzzle associated with it. You have to use your gadgets in ingenious ways in order to solve all these different puzzles. Some very basic ones like backclawing and pulling a trophy towards you out of a cage. But then some ones which require you to bounce off different walls while you're gliding and grapple boost up. So, we've really tried to kind of imbue the game world with so much gameplay. That's kind of been our real goal here.
And that's a really good point, because you've got so many villains and characters in this particular game, and that they were sort of touched on in the first game. You saw a lot of throwbacks to certain villains, you saw certain villains locked up, and just mentions of them. Now you've got them all in one place.
Yeah.
How do you rein in a narrative that doesn't get too convoluted and doesn't use up all of the history? I mean, there's like a 70-plus year history of Batman, I understand that, but you don't want to use all of the ammo that history has in just the second game alone, because clearly you guys are onto a very, very sturdy franchise here.
I think for us, we always start with a story. So that's where we start. We don't think, okay, which characters are we going to chuck in? We start with a story. What's the story we want to tell? And from there, we look at what characters help us tell that story. How are we going to challenge Batman? What interesting ways have we got to challenge Batman? So, there was never a case for us of throwing people in. If we didn't feel that they fit the story, then we wouldn't put them in the game. And also, if we felt they fit the story really well, we'd still use them. So Hugo Strange is a really good example of a character who is maybe not a character that everyone knows, but presents this great threat to Batman because he actually knows Batman's true identity. So, we wanted to use the characters which told the best story that we possibly could. And that's always our kind of driving decision, not throw everyone in and see what happens. It's what makes sense here, what's the most fun game we can make, what's the best story we can tell.
Now with the combat, obviously it's evolved massively, and when Jamie was running me through it just then, he was kind of explaining the buttons to me, and it was so hard to wrap my head around. However, I am a bit of an expert Batman combatant, and I picked it up quite easily, but it can seem pretty daunting for players that aren't really sort of, I guess that skilled at it, or are just genuinely kind of afraid of that many button inputs. What's the process for you guys in sort of reining in how much you can do with the gadgets and how many extra button inputs you can do to kind of maintain that sort of combo ethos alongside, I guess, an entry point?
Yeah, we work a lot on that. We work a lot on making sure the game is accessible to everyone. Obviously, what we're showing here is we're showing a lot of Batman's moves, and you're jumping in and picking them all up in a very short period of time. But when you play the main game, we're introducing those over a long period of time, and we're making sure you learn each of those before you move on. We have dynamic tutorials for all of the moves. We have a Wayne text screen which lists everything you can do. And we've made the game kind of not assuming that you've played the first game. So if you haven't played the first game, don't worry. You can come into this game. We're going to tutorial all the basic moves, strikes, counters, evades, stuns, and then we're going to build on that vocabulary. So we're going to introduce each move slowly. If you played the first game, boom, you're going to be straight in there and pulling those moves off straight away. But we're going to build those moves up really slowly. We're going to teach you those moves. And then by the end, you're going to be a proper Batman fighting expert. You're going to really be, like the first game, you're going to be amazed at the moves that you're pulling off and the things that Batman's doing. So you're right, there are more moves in there, but we've worked very hard to train the player to learn all those moves. And we've done a lot of focus testing with it, and we've trained, watched players, and they learn these moves, they learn the different way to take people down. And they start comboing in the gadgets as they learn those things slowly. So yeah, it's a lot to learn in a half an hour demo, but spread over the course of 25 hours. We're making sure that the game's developing. Every hour you're playing, you're learning new features, and you're becoming a better Batman all the time that you're playing.
With the size of the game world, did the sort of endless gliding concept, was that there at the beginning, or did you sort of add it as a means to get around the city a little bit better?
I think basically we knew as soon as we said we're taking this into Gotham City, we got to look at Batman's traversal skills, because the first game was set on Arkham Island, so obviously it was much more kind of confined. So Arkham City, we're thinking, okay, we're going into this huge district of Gotham City, and what's really fun about these sort of questions is we think, right, okay, well, how does Batman get around Gotham City? What does he do? And that's why we're thinking about, okay, he's using the gliding, he's using the cape, he's using the grapple boost to fly off the top of the buildings. He's combining all of those moves together. So kind of once we had the city, those are the questions we ask, like how does Batman get around? And then how do we make that fun? How do we make that exciting to do? So it's really getting that's what's really great fun about my job, is that we get to sit there and sort of think, how does Batman solve these problems? What would Batman do? And I think the city naturally fell into okay, we want Batman to be the ultimate vehicle.
Now, this is a bit of a throwaway question, but in the first game, the only time you were ever really Bruce Wayne was when you went to those flashback sequences and you were the child. I'm just wondering, it would be really hard to have Bruce Wayne appear in Arkham City because there's just, so much badness around.
Yeah.
But have you guys thought about exploring that other side of Batman? In my opinion, I think Bruce Wayne is actually his alter ego. I think Batman is who he actually really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just wondering if you guys have ever even thought about sort of bringing that in.
I actually agree with you in my personal opinion that Bruce Wayne is the alter ego, right? Batman is the dedicated person who's, he's committed his life to fighting crime and being Gotham's protector. So, Bruce Wayne's the playboy millionaire. He's definitely the alter ego, and Batman is who he really is. That's what he wants every day. But we really focused on being Batman for this game. Really focused on creating the ultimate Batman experience that we can create. So yeah, that's what we focused on for this game.
And finally, the challenge maps that came with the last game are all really good. Are we going to see a bit more differentiation in those, though? Obviously they were scalable, bigger, better, harder, yada yada. Are we going to see sort of more different types, or is it still sort of stealth and then just combat? Plus Catwoman.
Yeah, so in the challenge mode, you're going to get to play as Batman and Catwoman. We're not making any big announcements about the challenge mode at the moment, but I can tell you it's expanded, and we've got some really cool new features to show off in the challenge mode. And when we're announcing those, I'll let you know, but we've not got any announcements at the moment on that.
Awesome. Well, you've got probably more Game of the Show nominations than any other game here, and it rightly so. It looks fantastic. Sefton, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, I can't wait for October. It's actually my birthday month, so it's perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's why we're launching.
Yeah, fine.
We
Thanks.
do that.
All right, cheers. Thanks very much.
Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Cheers.